The month of May was a tale of two halves really, with little or no rain reducing growth rates for the first half of May, and then super grass growth rates, 80, 80 and 110 kilos per day for the last few weeks, turning a deficit of grass into a surplus. They say spring is the best time to complete reseeding and get a quick turnaround of grass seeds. That's fine if you get rain. Very unusually this year, our reseeds were crying out for water in early May as the sun shone and places dried up. Growth rates crashed down to well below herd demand, so the gap had to be filled with silage and meal. Cows were allocated high-quality round bale silage along the feed barrier before they were let out to grass, and cows were fed 4 kilos of meal per head per day for 2 weeks. Effectively, half the diet was coming from supplement and the other half from grazed grass. What grass they were getting was nice, lush green grass similar to this. It's just there wasn't enough of it on the farm as it dried out and growth rates crashed down. When I called to the farm 2 weeks later, the whole situation had changed. Rain had driven growth rates up to over 100 kilos per day and the farm was growing surplus grass. Cows were on their way in for milking when I called in, and they were just finishing their third grazing in the paddock, so they weren't coming back here. I think the herd in general is in super order, coats shining and in good condition score for the time of year. At this stage, the vasectomized bulls are with the herd to help pick up the repeats. On average, there are about 6 to 8 cows repeating per day. Remember, 90% of the 330 cows were submitted in the first 23 days. The paddock where the cows were finishing was close enough to the parlour, so the first cows were landing at the parlour when the last cows were leaving the paddock. When the cows were gone, I said I'd call to the next 3 paddocks where cows were going next in the grass rotation. This was the lowest cover, about 1200 kilos of dry matter per hectare, cut for bales last time round. Beautiful quality. This paddock was probably the heavier of the 3 paddocks, with a pre-grazing cover close to 1800 kilos. And the cows were destined for this paddock tonight. The third was a decent cover, again with 1500 kilos pre-grazing, super quality grass. End of May, so a few grass seeds beginning to appear, but on average a nice mix of clover and grass in some of the paddocks. On my way back to the parlour, I walked into the second herd. These are the 10% of the herd that are lame, mastitis, off form or for whatever reason in the second herd and milked once a day. I counted about 37 cows, and they're always kept near the parlour so that they haven't much walking to do. One of the vasectomized bulls was in with these cows, and he was also lame, as he had taken a knock a few days beforehand. By the time I got back to the farmyard, the parlour was chugging away and the gate siren sounding as the cows moved around the yard. As I observed the taint paint colours, I noticed one of the cows that starred in a previous update for the fact that she had a displaced abomasum. With the gash in her side still visible, she seemed content enough with life at the moment. I crossed over to the calf shed and the last 10 Hereford crossbred calves were basking in the sunshine. They have since been sold. I went from there to the reseeds. The rain had really kicked on the grass reseeds, but there were still some patches that were quite bare. On inspection we felt they would be alright and the disease were just a little bit slower. By the time I got back to the parlour, James was letting cows away. On average, the Greenfield herd were delivering about 2 kilos of milk solids per cow per day for the last 2 weeks. This is a pretty typical 5th lactation Jersey crossbred cow, producing 27 litres per day this week. Records show on average she has produced 4,900 kilos of milk and 405 kilos of milk solids per year over the last 4 lactations. Cow number 1274, a second lactation Holstein Friesian with an EBI of 118. Sire here is HYD, Mondeligo Harry. His EBI has fallen quite dramatically since he was first released as a genomic bull. He's a son of Oman called Sunnybank Oman. You know, a genomic EBI sire that has fallen in EBI as more daughters have been included in his proof. Producing about 26 litres per day. The first lactation produced 4,700 kilos of milk at 431 fat and 351 protein. That's 370 kilos of milk solids in first lactation. Calved again February 2017. Cow number 299, 5th lactation Jersey crossbred with an EBI of 130. Producing 24 litres this week. On average has produced 5,240 kilos of milk, 420 kilos of milk solids per lactation for the last 4 lactations. 420 kilos of milk solids. Calved again the 6th of March 2017. Sire here is a Jersey sire, Ballyhooly Minstrel. Maternal grandsire was Keith. White cow, cow number 1159. She's an 8th lactation Holstein Friesian with an EBI of 77. Producing 25 litres this week. On average has produced 5,705 kilos, 455 kilos of milk solids per year on average for the last 7 lactations. Calved again the 8th of April 2017. So like she's literally only calved 6-7 weeks at this stage, and yet we're into, you know, the second round of breeding. So she's going to do well. She's a late calver. And she's going to do well to stay in the herd. But listen, she has 8 lactations completed. Cow number 929, 3rd lactation Jersey crossbred with an EBI of 127. That EBI puts 130 EBI is 200 EBI in all money if you add on the 70 that was taken off it recently in the re-evaluation. You know, it puts this cow right up there in terms of the top EBI cows in the country. Producing 22 litres this week. On average has produced 3,350 kilos in her second lactation. Calved again the 11th of February 2017, so she's an early calver. Sire here Supernova, PKU, and maternal grandsire Norwester. That's it for the May update. Until next time, safe farming.